I'm Sherifah. Hey, I'm Sherifah Muniz, and I am a proud Morganite. So all the Morganites in the house, just a big shout out to y'all. I am the founder and executive director of the New Wave Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization that's focused on creating educational opportunities for deserving students. We do this through providing scholarships, workshops, partnering with like-minded organizations to put out events. We sponsor events and initiatives at Morgan, a lot of HBCUs, and a lot of the colleges around the DMV. I will say I'm also the co-owner of New Wave Technologies, which is a health IT consulting company based here also in the DMV, and we provide healthcare services to the federal government, predominantly the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services. We have spun out products and have acquired several companies as well. And we have staff around the country, and we started going international about 2 years ago as well.
Awesome. I can go second. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. First off, Keontae and the team, thanks so much for having the three of us. This is going to be so much fun. My name is Landon Campbell. I'm calling in from the sunny island of Chicago, Illinois, as you can see behind me. Let's see. So I'm a podcaster, investor, and media executive. I'll kind of do the three buckets really quick. I have two podcasts. The first is called In Their 20s. I interview the most successful people about what they did when they were in their 20s. So I've interviewed Steve Wozniak, who made Apple, co-founder of Twitter, the mayor of Miami, Jason Calacanis, big people. We're about to hit episode 100 this coming Monday. So 99 great episodes with some of the most influential people. And then media executive. I work for a company called inside.com, founded by Jason Calacanis, actually, someone I interviewed on my show. I lead all of our virtual events, podcasts, work with a few teams on our newsletters. It's a lot of fun. Through Inside, I have a whole nother podcast called Venturing in VC, similar to In Their 20s, but it's VC focused. I interview top VCs about how they ventured into VC per the name. And investor. I've been angel investing with a few firms, the Black Venture Capital Consortium, Hustle Fund, and just through all my connections in VC, like to be known as the connector. I like to speak with a lot of founders, hear their stories, and then find the right fit for them with I don't even know if there's a number, like 200 plus VCs I know. So those are kind of the three buckets in short.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to be here. I've been looking forward to this all week. My name is Cohort Brown. I am the DEI Startup Sourcing Scout at Techstars. My role is focused on sourcing underrepresented, overlooked, underestimated founders for our global network of accelerators. I've been in this role since last year. Prior to that, I had worked at a company called T.H.E.M. That was an online training platform for underrepresented founders. I was there for 3.5 years. So certainly always excited about supporting communities such as this. And, I'm very happy to be here.
Awesome. It's an honor to have you guys. I'm super excited for the day. We'll actually kick it off with Jules. She has some fun questions to kick it off, loose things up a little bit, and then we'll go into more of some questions about just more of your career and your storyline itself. So I'm gonna give it away to Jules.
Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. I hope everyone's having a great week, going into another great month. We're 6 months into the year. I'm starting with kind of like an icebreaker. My first question is, describe your life in a movie, title of 5 words or less, and what would it be and why? And if you're watching, feel free to say the same thing. So describe your life in a movie, title of 5 words or less, and why it would be.
Mine is just one word, and it's actually a book and a documentary, so I'm not sure if that counts, but it would be Becoming. And I like that just because I feel like I am constantly becoming and evolving to who I am supposed to be. And in every phase and journey that I've encountered in life, and I'm still encountering, I'm still growing. And I think as long as you're alive, you should always be learning and always be growing and always be open to all the new opportunities. So I'd say becoming.
Definitely giving Michelle Obama. We love to see it. Landon or Court?
Yeah, I can go. I think I would call mine, who knows, I might write this book one day, call it the 20s. I started this podcast at the beginning of the pandemic, back when a lot of my friends were losing their jobs and even I felt lost. And, that's why we explore such an interesting question, what people did in their 20s. So I've been studying this now for 2 years, speaking with a lot of people. And I think there's a lot of great advice that I would love to share on how people I don't want to say can and should be living in their 20s, but just options, out there for people in their 20s that are looking for a better life. So I'd probably call it the 20s.
Yeah, I think mine was sort of like with becoming, it'll just be one word: believe. I think as you go through life, you got to consistently have a belief that things are going to get better, and there's going to be a brighter future for you, no matter what type of obstacles you may be facing. So I think that simple concept of just believing in that, I think that one word, believe, would probably be the title for my movie.
I would definitely watch all three. My next question, if you could pick one actress or actor to play you in a biopic, who would it be?
I probably would say, maybe with some CGI, Denzel Washington. They can make it happen nowadays. So you can't go wrong with Denzel. So I'll probably have to say.
I'd say Regina King. She's an Academy Award-winning actress, best known for Boys in the Hood, Jerry Maguire, and I just feel she's elegant. I like her grace, and I would be completely honored if someone like her played me in a biopic. So,
could I play myself? Is that an option? If it's not, maybe Jaden Smith.
I
think
can see that. I
he's been
can
around the block.
definitely see that.
Yeah, that could be good.
What's it called? I look nothing like her, but Megan Good, she been practicing, so I'm gonna see she gonna do me. What would? Oh no, we already said the opening songs of our biopic. Oh, of your biopic. Can you reiterate for everybody, those who are coming into your opening song for your biopic?
What did I say? I love that At Last by Etta James. That was my song in high school. When I got my first car, I just kept that on repeat. So heavy ties to that song. Probably pick that one.
Okay, I was like, oh, he in love.
I'd say
life.
I'd say Overcomer by Mendisa. It's actually a gospel song, and it's a song that I played when I ran my first marathon. I just didn't think I'd make it, but it was just one of those things that I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get through this. And ever since I accomplished running a marathon, I always say to myself, if I can run a marathon, I can do anything. So.
Yeah, I probably would say, as I mentioned earlier, it's from a classic hip hop album, Illmatic. I would say the World Is Yours by Nas. I think it just represents kind of those themes of what I talked about, believing and just, understanding that, you have to seize your opportunities. So absolutely.
A good gospel song will definitely put you right there. And I'm seeing Nas in September. Yes. So I can't wait. So I feel you on that. And feel free to answer any of the questions in the chat, you guys, as the panelists are speaking. In your movie, what would be your favorite scene and what would be your least favorite? I guess going through your entire life, what would be your favorite scene and what would be your least?
My favorite and my least would be the same thing, actually. My favorite and my least would be the same thing. It's my least because it was when I lost my dad. And it was just the most heart-wrenching thing I ever experienced. But it's also my favorite thing in the sense that that's what helped me birth my purpose. And that's what helped me launch the New Way Foundation, which is what I'm doing now in ode to his legacy. So the same event, kind of, sad, but also, purpose driven. So.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I would probably say it kind of draws parallel to a movie I remember from the 90s, Soul Food. You know, when you have your family together for dinner and, you know, you just, those opportunities where all the family comes together, you know, I often reflect on those times growing up, you know, even as when I was younger. So any moment from that would probably be a favorite moment of mine. And then I guess least favorite, you know, is always tough to lose relatives, you know, when it comes to grief, you know, aunts and uncles and things of that nature. So I would probably say one of those moments. But yeah, that's kind of how I would look at it.
Favorite moment would be, I'm originally from the Bay Area, so I moved 2,000 miles away from home. I didn't know anybody, no resume, no connections, and you know, pretty proud of what I built in Chicago. So I'd say like those early moments of the uncertainty, which can be scary sometimes, but if you make it work, you make it work. And least favorite moment, very similar. You know, I feel like I'm bigger from this, but obviously it was difficult. I did lose my co-host of my podcast. He passed away after a short battle with brain cancer last year, and that was difficult. But you know, I decided to keep the show going, and he's still with me every day. I still use his microphone to this day. Probably, I think that'd be a moment to share in the movie.
Very deep. Definitely appreciate you guys just being open and transparent. I think a lot of people can relate to that, the least favorites, and hopefully, you know, the favorite scenes is what keeps us going. Um, and this that in this stage of your life, what excites you the most?
I can go. One of my mentors shared a pretty famous quote, and I don't know who originated the quote, so sorry, but should be on Google. It's you get closer to your dreams once you help other people accomplish their dreams. So it's just so nice that I have an opportunity on a daily basis now, even weekends, to talk to so many founders and be able to help them develop their stories, help them find funding, help them, you know, get a little more guidance on what they want to do in life. And on the flip end, you know, for the podcast, a lot of people listen to my episodes and they're motivated to take a risk or try something new or move away from home based off of the advice that they hear on my show. So I think that that's what keeps me going every day.
I love that.
Thank you.
For me, I think I am really excited about the fact right now that about all the challenges and successes I've had that have brought me to this very moment right now. It gives me the opportunity to be able to give back through mentorship and seeing a lot of the students that I serve going forward and accomplishing amazing things just allows me to know that the things that I'm doing it's bigger than me. And that to me is exciting. And also being able to talk to, as an entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, I speak to a lot of young founders as well, and just being able to share with them some of the mistakes that I've made so they can avoid that, and also being able to share with them successes that can help them fast track what they're doing and not have to repeat the same things we did. So I think that's really exciting. It just gives me that sense of anything's possible and not to be afraid to take risks and think big. So it's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would say for me, you know, in my role, having the opportunity to interact with so many amazing and talented founders that are building companies that are solving massive problems, you know, I'm certain that, you know, the future is very bright. So I'm just excited, like what the results of those companies, what they're going to look like 5 years from now. Of course, we've seen, you know, in this day and age, how successful certain companies are. So I'm looking forward to the future to where you see multiple billion-dollar companies that are led by people of color that have built it from the ground up. So I think we're going to see a lot of that in the future. So I'm excited about being a part of the community and helping cultivate that path for them.
Yes, definitely looking forward to see that. The next, I kick it off to Clay.
Thanks, Jewel. How's everyone doing today?
Pretty good.
Good. Okay, so my next question is, how did your alma mater, it could be from your HBCU, WI, if you went to college, if you didn't went to college, but how did your like experience and education influence who you are today?
Well, I went to Morgan and I'm a proud Morganite, and I'll tell you that having gone to Morgan really, I have to say, has really shaped the person I am today. Being a smaller college with smaller classrooms where I was able to honestly express myself, not be afraid to speak up, not to be afraid to ask questions. I was able to just jump right in, participate in different clubs, and I made lifelong friends that are still my friends till today. And it really gave me the foundation to go on to Georgetown University, where I went on and got my MBA. But I will say that all the individuals, one thing I will tell any students that are on this part of the audience right now is, in as much as going to class and getting good grades is good, and I encourage that, don't get me wrong, it's the people that you meet while you are in college. I'm telling you, that's the money right there. That's the money right there. Those are future business partners. Those are future funders, folks that you can partner with. Even your professors, those are future advisors, for your board. So don't underestimate the people you come across every day. You'll be surprised. You'll be really surprised where people end up one day. So so I will say the people I met while in college really made a huge impact for me.
That your network is your net worth. It's really, really true. Everything that you said there. And, a lot of these relationships take time to make as well. We can't expect to get funding the day after today and, want to know people, in only a week. It takes time, a lot of time. So a lot of truth to everything that you said there. So I went to DePaul University in Chicago, which is on that island right there. And so I mentioned I didn't know anybody when I moved here. What I liked most about DePaul is that it was downtown Chicago. So I ended up I had wonderful classes, great relationships with my professors, but I ended up working a lot for multiple reasons. Obviously, you need money in college, and I wanted experience. I said that I had no resume going into college, as most students do, but I had 10 internships in college, which is kind of excessive, but the reason why is because I just wanted to absorb as much information as I could, create my own network, and kind of build the foundation. So there's a few pieces of advice I'll give there for the people who currently aren't in college and, already graduated. A lot of people in their 20s, they're struggling, they feel like they're having an identity crisis. And there's a book called The Defining Decade that talks a lot about this. You should instead be looking for something called identity capital. So that means take on so many different opportunities. You don't have to be in college to do this, take on different hobbies, see what you like, see what you don't like. I majored in PR, but I didn't just take PR internships. I interned at law firms, small startups, huge corporations, in order to see what the heck I wanted to be doing, what I didn't want to do. So I don't think you have to be in college right now to do that. I think that anybody can take on that identity capital and stay busy. So I've been trying to stay busy for a long time, not just because of the money, but because I love to work, I love to learn, and I love to meet people.
Yeah, I would say, along the lines of what you both expressed, like the importance of network, I've developed, lifelong, friendships that, not only that could support me professionally, but also personally. I've gotten friendships that are like that are like brothers and sisters to me. So I attended the University of Alabama. And I think from the standpoint of influence, I certainly greatly influenced by the administrators that were there as well, and some of the professors that were great advisors and mentors to me. And I will also say, in an indirect way, the standard of excellence from the success of the football team during the time that I was there. And it's kind of still continuing on to this day, but, you know, kind of seeing that from a distance and seeing the, you know, how they run that football program and the standard they have set. I think some of those types of principles can certainly be applied to life and everything and what you demand from yourself. So, yeah.
That was wonderful. Everything that you guys said was valuable. I'm kind of biased. I'm a Morgan State graduate. Me and Keontae are business partners. So I think that it's just amazing how we both went to school at the same university. And like to your point, you know, we actually decided to build something together to move forward in our journey and unify this connection. So I think it's extremely powerful what you guys just said. And I hope everybody took notes on that, because a lot of people underestimate the value that they have with a relationship. I think that social currency is extremely important, and how you have a relationship with somebody is how you prepare for your future. So I think that that's completely perfect. Moving next, what inspired you to pursue your current role?
I think for me, you know, with, you know, working at my previous job at T.H.E.M, and I saw this role come about, you know, I felt like it was a next step in terms of my career personally, but also, you know, I had long had a tremendous amount of respect for Techstars because, you know, we had founders in our T.H.E.M community, as Miss Ashley Brown was a part of, you know, that have went through Techstars, and I certainly, you know, always respected the level of support they provided founders, and, you know, the fact that they created this role, you know, showed a commitment to wanting to utilize their place in the you know, the global perspective of national of startup accelerators, and you know, to really be a voice and be a leader for diversity and supporting diverse founders. So you know, it was just natural and very exciting to me. So yeah.
Yeah. I can go. So I'd say my short to mid-term goals right now are to either have my own fund eventually or join a firm that I support. I'd say that the motive to kind of get started in what I'm doing right now was just out of curiosity. Not to say that there is one traditional way to get into VC, but you know, it's pretty difficult to break into venture capital. And you know, kind of I view the traditional path as the investment banking background, and you know, you got to know these certain people, you got to do this, got to do that. You know, not to say again like any of that's bad, but I think traditionally it's been very difficult to get into the space. So I knew that I didn't have that traditional background. I knew that my journey into VC was going to be different. So I'd say like that's kind of what motivated me to work on these three, you know, the media, the angel investing, and the podcast, was because I was curious, you know, if there were any other ways I could break into VC. And I think I found that in what I'm doing. You know, I share stories of founders. I get to speak with founders on a daily basis and kind of understand, you know, who's legit and who's just, you know, spewing BS. I think that that's something that really I've learned from podcasting and coming up with questions and, you know, being able to communicate better. And it's been a wonderful source of deal flow for me as well, and distribution. You know, I've built like a strong audience with the podcast. So I say all that to say that it's important to my brand to show that there are many different ways that you can break into VC. There doesn't have to just be one traditional way. I spoke with someone 2 days ago who worked at a rug store. He was selling Persian rugs, and no startup experience, no operating experience, but he was selling to all these you know, very high net worth VCs, and he just kind of was listening into their conversations. And now he runs Pair VC, which I believe the total return of all their companies is somewhere like 16 billion. So, which is remarkable. I'm trying to show that there isn't just one way to break into this traditionally difficult to break into space.
That's awesome. For me, it's a little bit different in the sense, and to your point, Landon, there's so many different ways. So I got into New Wave Tech as a co-owner because my husband's a techie, and with my background in econ, it was a wonderful combination where he could do tech and I could handle the financial aspects of things. So it was a great partnership. I wanted more flexibility of time, especially, when we started having kids. And that was really nice. And to be honest, as a minority, especially within the tech space, my husband at that time had a lot of amazing ideas. His voice wasn't being heard, but he knew he could have it heard by having his own business. And thankfully, we took that step of faith because of that. Now we have over 400 people that work for us around the country, and that's just an amazing testimony in itself. And the platform that we had starting New Wave Tech gave me the opportunity to do what I really love to do, which is in the area of service, which allowed me to then launch the foundation, which I talked about earlier on. So as a result of all that, it's given us the opportunity to obviously invest and into other businesses and companies as well. So that's really what inspired, what we did.
Wow, that's wonderful. So I guess I had to follow up on that exact question. What were you guys from aha moment? What was that moment that says, this is where I belong, I'm on the right track, and what I'm doing is proving worthwhile to myself and to my journey?
I can start with this one. This is with respects to the foundation. I'll be honest, the day before we were going to have our inaugural launch, I found a journal that I forgot I had even written. It wasn't what I was looking for. I was looking for something else, and I found this old raggedy journal. And I opened it up and I was like, what is this? And I saw in there, I wrote my 10-year plan. And within the 10-year plan, I wrote wanting to start a foundation, a nonprofit. And it was 9 years to that day that I found the journal. And I was having the inaugural launch the very next day. So it was just like, wow, it was kind of mind blowing, like, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing right now. So.
I can go. So, I think that we hear a lot in our adolescence or in our 20s, like you have to be a master of one, or do you have to be a jack of all trades? And I'm a big believer in being this thing called a deep generalist. So that means you take like 2 or 3, they're called value chains, like large areas of interest, and find a unique way to combine them. So I'll kind of give examples. I was interested in podcasting, interested in media, interested in VC, and then obviously, like professional development, et cetera. I feel like I'm at a unique place where I've spent so much time doing these 3 to 4 things consistently, and there's a lot of synergy between the 3 to 4 things that now I'm kind of like one of the only unique ones, like doing those 2 to 3 things, which then in turn turns you into like someone who is, the one person who has combined these 2 to 3 things. So I think of this like on a larger scale, if you look at Jeff Bezos and Amazon, he connected, shopping with internet to become e-commerce. And I mean, there are many more examples where you take like these large 2 to 3 value chains, as some people call them, or, areas of interest. And, I saw another popular quote a few weeks ago where instead of being the top 1% in one thing, try to be the top 20% in, maybe 3 things of each of those 3 things. Because then when you're able to like combine them, you're able to build your personal brand based off of those 2 to 3 things. So now, I'm kind of uniquely positioned where I'm a podcaster that deploys capital, works within media, and, people are coming to me to like, do unique seminars, or I just got offered to do a TED Talk actually last week. So I think that once you're able to like build your brand in a very unique way by combining 2 or 3 things, you can be that 1 point person who people look for advice or input. And I say all of that to bring it back to the question, where I think that was my aha moment, where I was very strategic in, what I would spend my time with. And I knew that, okay, again, not traditionally I'm not breaking into VC in a traditional way. I knew that my way would have to be a little different. And now I feel like I'm in a place where all the hard work and kind of combining those 2 to 3 things, it's connecting a little better, if that makes sense. So I think that was my aha moment when things just started to, the synergy was really there and things started to make sense.
Yeah, I would probably say for me, that old saying goes like when you're doing something and it doesn't feel like work. When I would get like great compliments from founders around like different resources and research I was able to support them with and help them with, and they would like make a big deal, like I really appreciate that. But it didn't feel like work to me. I didn't think much of it, and I was like, oh well, it's just another example of I really love doing this and really love supporting founders. So, just to go back, just the question, just like when you're doing something and it doesn't feel like work, that's probably was the aha moment for me.
So I guess my next question, since we're talking about, it doesn't really feel like work when you're being accomplished in your own mission and how your mission adds into your value at your job, what would be the ultimate impact that you would want to have on your company or even the world, rather?
Yeah, I think for me, as I mentioned earlier, the respect of Techstars and what startup accelerators can do for companies. I'm just excited about just to go back. I would say one of the things that really got me interested in supporting underrepresented founders was the opportunity to close the wealth gap that we see. And I do feel like the wealth creation aspect of startups and venture capital funding and how that is used to scale companies, I do feel like that could be of benefit to people of color. And I'm excited about, what we're able to do at Techstars and helping these companies scale and, putting companies on a pathway to become unicorns or publicly traded companies. So I'm looking forward to the future of, unicorns led by a Black woman, and people and many people of color. So that's kind of what excites me.
Yeah, for me, there's a saying that says, if you teach a man to fish, he can feed himself, he can feed his family, and he can feed his community. So for me, the impact that I would like to make would be one whereby, based on the work that I do, it equips people with the tools that they need to be successful, not just for themselves, for their family, but ultimately so we can always all lift up our own communities as well. So I think that would be huge for me.
I'm about to say something that's kind of a combination of both of what you guys just said because I love it. And this is also about to sound super corny, so beware. But I'm kind of tired of people just like saying, great job, great job. I want people to like see what I'm doing in life and get a better job, get a great job based off of kind of, the advice that I share, the advice that people share on my podcast. So I think that I'm trying to like really just lay the groundwork, deliver these actionable insights related to VC, related to if someone wants to get 10 internships, which, yeah, I mean, that's great, but I think anybody can do that. I don't think I'm special for that. I just think I was curious and wanted to work a lot, but I think anybody could do that. Anybody could create a top podcast. Anybody can break into VC, but sometimes they just don't know. And I think that in order to become successful, you need to see success. And it's difficult when maybe, we don't have a whole lot of people that we can look towards and like see, okay, someone was on this specific path that I want to go on and they look like me. I think that that's super helpful. That is super, super helpful to, again, see success in order to become successful. So I'm just trying to really share a lot of different stories on my platforms and show people that, there's a way to do anything these days. Obviously, some things are impossible, but for the most part, everything is possible.
Wonderful. I think, Landon, I think you touched on this very briefly earlier, but maybe if we could dive deep into it a little bit more. It's like, what is the best piece of advice that you personally received? But this is for all three of the panelists. But what's the best piece of advice that you received that has stuck with you throughout your life and that you'd be willing to present to the rest of the people that's on the call that they can internalize and move forward to help their lives?
Yeah, I'll go with like one of my favorite pieces of advice. The best leaders in the room are the last ones to speak. I think that's pretty relevant to any industry, any sector. We always hear the quote, "We're born with 2 ears and one mouth for a reason." But I think that, even if I consider myself to be like an expert, which I don't, but like in any of these fields, I don't care like if I'm talking to a podcaster at the top or a podcaster who's just starting out. Like I always rather hear everything first, even if I kind of think I know the answer. It's just helpful to kind of think of life as a chessboard and kind of see the options that you have available before making your next move. So yeah, I think the best leaders in the room are the last ones to speak. Always allow people to speak first. And which is ironic because I'm the first one to answer this question. But my point is, just try to see what other people have to say first.
I would say for me, going back to 2017, when I first met this woman named Mandela Dixon, who founded T.H.E.M, who's now the CEO at All Raise. But the best advice she gave me was to seize your moment. I think, for me, I knew what the opportunity which was presented to me, and having to work with her, and coming in as a fellow at that company, and leaving as a key component of the operations there. That really resonated with me. So I just carry that with me when there's unique opportunities presented in front of you. Take hold of it and seize it. So, yeah.
Wow, gosh, there's been a lot of great ones. It's hard to really pick one, but if I was to pick one, I would say showing up is half the battle. A lot of times we give ourselves reasons why we can't do things, but if you can reframe the question to how can I do this, it gives you the possibilities on how you can do it. But the reality is, if you show up, you sink, you swim, right? But either way, you've learned either one way of not to do it next time, or it was a success. Either way, it's still a win, if you ask me. So that's been probably one of the best advice, because I've done some things that I would never have otherwise thought I was capable of, but because I showed up, I had a fighting chance.
So first and foremost, y'all, I just gotta say I'm inspired. I'm inspired. I appreciate your transparency, gym after gym. I know somebody on here taking notes, and they're gonna leave this call and they're gonna go crazy this weekend. And I love it. I love it. I'm super inspired. And so we only got about 10 minutes left. I know Landon got to get back to the beach. We ain't got all day. It's probably nice out. I want to use this last 10 minutes to touch base on some questions from you guys, the audience. If you have any questions, please drop it in the chat. But we do also already have some questions actually from social media that came in. And so while you guys are typing your questions, we can dive straight into these and we can close on out. But definitely got to get our audience some time, because of course, all of you guys on this call are VCs, angel investors, scouts. And so a lot of these questions are centered around, if I have a business, a startup, how do I navigate my storytelling? And so let's kick it off with this first one. This first one says, what is the first thing you look for in a story or pitch? And what is the most important thing you look for in a story or pitch?
I can go. I really believe, clarity in terms of what the problem they're solving is very important. And I will note a person that's a part of this cohort. I met with her earlier this year, Brittany Wright, and when she articulated what I read about her company was Spotify for stock picking. So that simplified it for me. So I didn't have to go around trying to figure out like what it is that she's working on. So she made it very simple by articulating it in that way. And then I think an important thing to look for is why the founder is uniquely positioned to solve the problem. Like what domain expertise do they bring? Like what understanding of the problem that they bring to the table, and why they're uniquely positioned to solve the problem.
Yeah, I love those. So everybody write those down twice: clarity, simplicity, getting straight to the point. There are a lot of good pieces of advice. I'll kind of take it from the other side and say that just practice is super important. General pitching advice, like the first time you pitch your company should not be in front of an investor, and I tell people this all the time, that when you pitch, you should also look for something called fluidity. So you should be able to give your pitch frontwards and also backwards and make it so that anybody can understand it. Someone who totally understands your domain will get it, and someone who has no idea about the space that you're building in can get it. So yeah, run through your pitch a bunch of times by yourself, and then maybe do it again as you're talking to a 3-year-old. Like literally act like you're talking to a 3-year-old, and then do it again and act like you're talking to a 90-year-old. I think I've come across every single day so many amazing companies, but the founders just do not know how to tell their story. And unfortunately, that's super important. Having a good story is going to help you with 3 things. It's going to help you get investors, help you get customers, and help you get employees. So if you can't, as a CEO founder, tell your story, I mean, I can't expect you to get any 3 of those. So I think it's in all of us. Some of us are natural storytellers, sure, but I think that it can be taught through practice. And so you need to practice a bunch of times. And yeah, keep it short, keep it simple, keep it to the point. If you can't tell me exactly what you do while I'm filling up my gas tank, which approximately takes how long? Like 3.5 minutes. Then just think about it like that. I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be getting in my car and leaving. So I think just practice makes perfect.
Nice. I love everything Court and Landon said, and it's so true. If I'm to add to that, I would say make sure you have a clear value proposition. What is it about what you're pitching that is unique? What problem is it solving? Why is it needed? You have to, again, to Court's point in terms of the clarity, and Landon's point in terms of, being able to, to articulate it through practice, but it needs to make sense. You can practice all day long, you could be clear, but it needs to make sense. What's the value proposition? So I think that's a big thing I look for.
Definitely all good stuff. All good stuff right there. Another question we had was, what are ways that introverts can grow in telling their stories, even when they're combating anxiety and things of that nature?
Practice. What's that famous AI quote? Practice. I mean, it's just the same thing. Yeah. Practice.
In addition to practice, I also feel authenticity. Authenticity matters also, because, even with the practice, which I think definitely makes a huge difference, try to be authentic, because in your authenticity, it shines through in your storytelling. So, sometimes I'll be honest, I've been at events where I'm nervous and I say it, I say it, and, it almost like, sometimes you get a smile or you get an acknowledgement, and it almost puts you at ease almost, and allows you to go on. So I acknowledge it sometimes. So, yeah.
I love that.
And I would definitely co-sign being authentic. This is a very, big topic for me, because that's something that I understand with dealing with anxiety and how to tell stories. Even for myself, I'm from Alabama, and, you may can hear it in my speech a little bit. So, I used to be a little bit self-conscious about that, about, how I sound and everything. But, I do feel like, as long as you're being authentic and representing yourself in the way you know how, you'll be fine. So just try not to, overthink who you are, just be yourself.
Definitely. I agree with all of those. And as an introvert myself, I can certainly attest that all of those are very, very important. Another question we got from social media is if you guys could elaborate on the balance between emotion and logic in storytelling or pitching. The balance between emotion and logic.
Well, yeah, you can go first.
I think for me, it depends on what the product or the business is. Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's say, for example, you have a business or a product that has to deal with mental health, just, coming off of Mental Health Awareness Month. you might want a little bit more emotion. You may want to express a little bit more emotion there, so that it kind of sells it, not to say the numbers and the problems statement and all of that wouldn't matter. But so that's an example. Then on the other sense of things, if you have a product where you're selling certain widgets, you know what I mean? I might really want to go to the problem set maybe a little bit more in terms of how the numbers really make sense and why it might be more lucrative to your investment. So I think for me, it would be determined based on what kind of business or product is in question. So.
Totally. Yeah. I'll even add to that because I agree that like what you're pitching is really important. But on the other end, and for not to be too redundant, I think that who you're pitching is also really important too. So know your audience. I tell that to everybody. And obviously, you don't need to know the specifics of every single person that you're pitching. Sometimes you're going to be pitching in front of 200 people. And even in a small room of 5, like you don't need to know exactly where they live, how many kids they have. But I mean, yeah, if I'm pitching a VC firm, like I'm going to look at the types of investments that they tend to make. I'm going to look at deep dive into the history of each of the partners, or if it's a big group. I mean, obviously it's gonna, well, looking at today's group, for example, like I know why I'm here. I know why you guys are here. So I'm being very specific at the answers that I give because I know my audience. So I think that it's important to know your audience because ultimately that's going to change just how much emotion versus how much logic you put into it.
Yeah, certainly. I would plus one that, is important. A lot of the times when it comes to VCs and investors, they write a lot of different, you will find they write different articles or share on social media the things that they're interested in. And they might, for the example earlier, like they might express interest in mental health startups or in different disciplines. So you can certainly, if there's a VC you're talking to that has a more interest in that and you're building something, a solution for that, you could definitely speak from an emotional standpoint to a degree. But yeah, I definitely think it's important to really know the audience.
Definitely spot on, guys. I know we run out of time. If you guys don't mind, we can maybe take it home with Clay's first question. Has the pressure to code switch ever impacted how you tell your story? Of course, this event is called For the Culture. It's about being yourself, telling your story genuinely, who you are. Has the pressure to code switch ever impacted how you tell your story?
Well, I kind of touched on this. I mean, to a degree, I used to think a lot about it, but I just really, just like I said, just wanted to just really embrace who I am. I do feel like I'm a, intelligent Black man, so I didn't want to, feel like I have to change anything about myself because that you're going to have to carry that burden of always having a play a role essentially when it's just such easier to just be yourself. So. Yeah.
I completely agree with Cord on that. Honestly, I have the mind where if I can't be myself and you don't accept me for who I am, then maybe you're not the person I'm supposed to work with, period.
Yeah, I think code switching is very exhausting. And I agree with every point that you two just made. I think that there are a lot of options out there. There are a lot of VCs. If one doesn't work out today, I mean, there are hundreds of others that, you would be willing to have a conversation with you because, they accept you and want you to be yourself. So I think that we spoke a lot about being authentic. It goes both ways, just like VCs want someone that's truthfully themselves. And I know that there's a lot of imposter syndrome out there comparing ourselves to what this person's doing, that person's doing. But, once you find a unique voice, a unique brand, like you need to stick with that. And of course, we can always evolve and change. If something comes up in our lives that says, okay, maybe I want to follow this philosophy, or maybe I want to look at life a little differently now. That's fine. I don't think that how we're born, we need to be like that every single day. I mean, I'm constantly surrounded by people where I'm thinking and say, okay, wow, maybe I need to look at life a little differently, like this way, that way. But I think like at the end of the day, our true values like are there, and being truthful, being honest, you know, who you want to work with, like, you know, those are probably going to be set in stone more. So I just think you got to be authentically yourself.
Definitely. I love it. Words can't express how appreciative I am of you guys. This session has been amazing. The hour flew by. I was like, dang, man, I wish we had more time. We got other questions, but we got to do it again another time. We got to do it some other time, but I truly appreciate you guys. This has been an amazing session, you know, just from the start to the finish, gym after gym, inspiration, guidance. I know people are leaving empowered, you know, and so I appreciate you guys. This was an amazing way to close this whole speaker series. It was the perfect way to close it. Love you guys. I appreciate everybody, all the attendees that were able to join, the panelists for carving out your time. Y'all busy. Y'all heard the accolades. They big deals. They are big deals. Don't lie. Don't get it twisted. So I appreciate you guys. I truly thank you guys for this event. And what more else can I say? I'm overwhelmed. I appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend, guys. To our attendees, thank you for joining, guys. This is the close. Thank you for the cohort for joining as well. Shout out to you guys. This is the close of Founder Fridays. Shout out to Karen. I see you up there, Karen. Child Nexus in the building. Thank you guys. And we'll keep you guys posted. This is the last Founder Friday session, but Venture for Them is still working. We still got some amazing things in the works. Follow our social media at Venture for Them. Go to ventureforthem.com and follow us and stay posted for, and actually let me drop the social media. This is for Instagram and Twitter if you guys don't have it. And just check it out because we definitely got some amazing things in the works. But time is up. Can't hold you guys much longer. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. Everybody have a great weekend. Love you guys.
See ya.
Peace.